Welcome to American Gypsy Podcast. I am your host, Gypsy, and today I have a special guest, Kassandra Gordon. She is a London based, award winning, multidisciplinary artist and fine jeweler who, through a journey of self discovery, found inspiration to channel the experience, texture, and voice of herself and her community into her craft. Welcome to the show, Cassandra.
Thank you for having me. Much
Glad to
appreciated.
have you here.
hmm
And Cassandra is actually a repeating guest. I've had her on season three a few years ago, so it's glad to have you here again to
hmm
catch up. I know I've touched on only a few things that you do, and you're very multifaceted. So, if you can give us an introduction and a background.
Okay, so I think you put it very succinctly in your intro. When I say multidisciplinary, if I can just even say it, I use moving image. So I would say as well. So if people say what are my two main mediums
Mm,
of my expression, it would be fine jewelry and moving image. So film
mm,
as well.
okay.
Even like tomorrow, have you been to? Do you know Tottenham Court Road? Have you been to Tottenham
No,
Court Road? So in
haven't.
central London,
Okay.
the central London is so big, but there is a station called Tottenham Court Road, which is the
Mm,
Elizabeth line, the Northern line, and the Central line, and they have one of the biggest kind of video installations in the UK. And one of my
mm,
films is going to be there from tomorrow, so showing
nice.
just how we can express ourselves for a visual medium. I see that
Mm,
jewelry is a medium which is quite visual and that's quite personal and quite sacred,
mm.
but then we can amplify that with moving image and film.
Okay. And what inspired you to get into the jewelry space?
That's a good question. I think I always liked jewelry since I was young, but I
Mm,
just didn't know how to get into it. And I have very like ethnic parents where they're like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be this. So all the
yeah.
creative stuff just got filtered to the side, and I was very
Hmm.
academic. Long story short, in my early 20s, I was made redundant. So I was like laid off
Mm,
off a job. It was a very bad experience. And I said, if I ever get laid off again, I want to learn a trade. I want to learn something. So if anything
mm,
happens to me, I'll never be put in that horrible position and when people are taking advantage of me.
mm,
So what I did, I didn't think I was going to business at the time, but I just went to a college like a night school
mm-hmm.
where I learned how to make silver jewelry.
Okay.
And then while I was still working for about 5 years, I just did short courses, night school for like 5 years and my weekends. Every weekend, but it should be my 20s should be like my partying life. I was every weekend I was on a bench
Mm,
learning my jewelry skills. So
okay.
yeah.
I know you like to incorporate your culture and heritage into your craft, and Jamaica and Britain have a very different culture. So, how do you balance out the two in your work?
That is a good question. I don't know if it's balance. I don't think when two cultures merge. I'll just give a bit of
Yeah.
history. So my mom and dad are Jamaican, so I was born here. So the Britishness, my voice, everything is here, but still Jamaican influences. So how do I put that together? I feel if people know the UK, I just feel like a lot of the youth culture, a lot of like British culture, when I mean culture, a lot of the things which you see, the slang, how we dress, comes from black culture. A lot
Hmm.
derives from Jamaican culture anyway. So just being the way I am and thinking
Yeah.
the way I am, it just naturally merges. So I don't want to force it.
Yeah.
Some things you can't force. I know that's a bit of a cop out, but that's the way. But how it manifests in my jewelry,
Mm,
bright colors. I add like braids and cornrows to my jewelry. But now I'm really gonna look at. I'm just thinking of my new collection, thinking about Carnival, like Notting Hill Carnival, think about Leeds Carnival, think about St Paul's Carnival, which is in Bristol, because everyone thinks like there's only one carnival in the UK.
mm,
How do I incorporate that vibrancy, that limitlessness, places where people feel free, where people can dance and can be celebrate and be themselves. I'm just thinking about doing a collection about that, and I know in my head I'm gonna have somehow some earrings that represent like steel pans. So
mm.
steel pans is
What
quite
is that?
unique for like carnival culture here
Okay.
compared to other carnivals across the world, and how it's and all of the sound systems and stuff like that. So I'm thinking very musically when I'm in this space. I was like, oh, I've seen speakers. So hopefully the next year or so you'll see a lot of like circles and speakers and steel pans.
Mm.
Yeah. That's what's in my mind. So that's the best way I can think about merging British and Jamaican culture together.
So I know, being from a multicultural background myself, living in the U.S., you get this stereotypes and things like that that gets placed on you, that is of that, from African American culture and what you're supposed to be like, and you're supposed to say. Have you dealt with that type of challenge here, in the UK, and how do you get through that?
Well, depends on what setting. Are you talking
Mm.
about the workplace? Are you talking about beauty standards? Are you just talking about
No,
art?
I'm talking about more of, in your jewelry space in the workplace.
Got you, got you.
Does that create a challenge in your
Very
work?
much, very much challenge, especially early on. I think my first collection I did was about space. People wasn't expecting me to do it. People always ask me, what about your heritage? What about your culture? There's some cultural tax. Like, I can't be free commercially to be what I want to be because the expectation always add your heritage. Now I do it when I feel like it's when you say about how do you add the British and the Jamaican expression. It's inherent in me. You can't copy. You can have the same recipe, add some sugar, add this, but it's going to come out different because it's me. It's my unique point of view. No one's lived my life and see the things what I have seen. So the only thing recently I had when I applied for a fashion prestigious scholarship, I got an interview, and the woman's like, "I can't see your heritage. I can't see your heritage." I'm like, "It has cornrows on it. How black or ethnic you want me to be?" But she had her idea, her white gaze of what was ethnic and what was heritage. So that's disappointed the gatekeepers and the tastemakers in the world. If it doesn't suit their eyes, they're not open to look at the expansion of blackness, how it can come in different forms, or just letting a person just have that freedom. Because not everything has to be trauma. Not everything has to go to a certain black aesthetic. It's either trauma or Afrofuturism. It's like, where is the in between?
Yeah.
You know, we're not monolithic, but I just hope for what I'm doing, like people who follow me or who understand what the brand is and what I do as an artist, that they see good work and they just like it because they like it, and I happen to be black.
Yeah. And that shouldn't, it shouldn't matter, because that same stereotype doesn't get applied if a white person or
No,
something
but
does it. It's not like, oh, this is not white enough. Nobody says that, or it doesn't reflect your culture, and it's something that's placed on other cultures. So,
black tax, a lot of
yeah.
black tax, and if you don't do certain black things, people don't always forgive you, or sometimes not even that, like room to be mediocre, room to fail. I feel like, are we allowed to fail in these spaces? Just try new things, prototype new things. Not everything has to be super perfect all the time, where other people can just experiment
Yeah.
and not have the same kind of high standards put on them as well.
Yeah. So what does your creative process look like? Do you sketch things out, or do you get inspired by things you see? What does it look like
So you're talking about for my jewelry
for your
process?
jewelry
Okay,
specifically?
so my jewelry process has evolved, but now it's been more visuals. I can get, so I have like 10 million Pinterest boards, 10 million mood boards. I exaggerate with 10 million, but I have a lot of them, where it starts from the picture first, so how I'm feeling, my mood. Sometimes I get things off movies, so I see silhouettes in movies, and it starts always from a visual thing now. Before, about 5, 6 years ago, I would just go pen to paper and sketch. But now I use like an external stimuli, which is visual, like a picture, and then start from there. And I think about, what is the concept? What is the emotion I'm trying to get across? What do I want people to feel? What is the story? What is the relationship with myself with this object? And what is the relationship other people can get from this object as well? And what is the connection? Because I feel like jewelry is the unique object which is relational to the body, and we use it in different ways. There's so much research about jewelry, how it can bring up great memories. It can help to express yourself. It has meaning, right? So I'm very conscious about, when I create a piece of jewelry or collection, what is the meaning? because I want people to see the jewelry in a certain way, interpret the jewelry in a certain way, not just for its aesthetics, not just because it's shiny and I've got a gemstone in it. Yeah. What's the story behind it?
Is there a piece that has more than the others a significant weight in terms of meaning to you, and why?
I'm just trying to think. I'm not wearing them today.
I love your ring, by the way.
Thank you. You know what it is?
Is that your creation, I'm guessing?
Yeah. You know what it is? You know, sometimes the people ask me, or I get the most responses of rings I make for myself. I don't really like do a proper collection for. So these are just one-offs I just make for myself. So one is like a queen, like a crown with amethyst, diamonds, and citrine multicolored there. And that one I made will just like respect myself, respect my boundaries, because I always say it's like a little memento to myself, because I'm always like putting other people's needs first. Sometimes I always want to help people, and I'm like, where does this always want to help people come from? Why I always want to do things for others? Like, what about myself? What about my boundaries? And sometimes I go into spaces where people do not respect me, or people do not value what I do, and I just remind me, like, know who you are, know that you're a queen, and don't let people treat you in a certain way, because you know people learn how to treat you because what you allow them to do to you. So yeah, that's how it. This one I just loved it. So this one wasn't design led per se, but the stones spoke to me. I was just in a gem shop in London, in Hatton Garden, the Jewellery Quarter. And I saw this gem, this lemon quartz. It's the first time I saw lemon quartz up close. And I was like, I like it.
I don't think I've heard of lemon quartz, actually.
Yeah, it's part of like the quartz family. So lemon quartz, rose quartz, you know.
I know rose quartz and amethyst is
amethyst. All in that type of family. It's quite hard. Yeah. So I was like, I love lemon quartz. And that's that. And that was the end of that.
Do you make custom jewelries for people, or is it just for your own collection?
So the main thing, I'm in this like limbo state where up to about last year, most of my business was making for others. So I would just do bespoke, mostly engagement rings.
What does bespoke mean?
Oh, sorry, bespoke. One-off pieces, tailored pieces, personalized pieces, custom pieces, sorry. So I used to do that. So someone come to me, here's your ring. I want this for my girlfriend. I want this for my husband, or this and this. Can you make it? Yeah.
Okay.
Then, but now I'm looking like, okay, that's great, but who is Kassandra? What is she about? People don't. I'm doing a service, which is great. I don't mind that. Yeah. But what are the stories I want to tell? Yeah. What is the legacy I want to bring out through jewelry? What is my contribution? How do I create some everlasting archives and art? So now I'm really like this year, I really took the time to think about and to sketch out and plan my own things, what reflect my life, and hopefully people can relate to it. Because I feel like sometimes the best art is just like it's what you know, and from yourself. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do now. And if it charms the people, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think sometimes, especially when I was going to jewelry school and had the odd little business class, I don't know if it was useful, but the odd little business class, it was like, think about your customer, think about this, have this prototype. And then I realised when I was trying to design for that person, it never worked out. The people anytime I have a prototype, like this personal persona where I thought was going to have my jewelry, it just it was never the person. So I just like, F this, like, I think if I just keep true to my signature style and keep on being consistent and putting things out, I'll build up my audience. And I feel like maybe the audience is not in the UK. The jewelry market is quite small. I think the US, because I went to US last year, and it was such a different reaction. Such a different reaction to my stuff. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's like, I don't know. I feel like in the US, if people see you trying and they see you doing good work, people want to help. And I think in the US, people are more entrepreneurial. Yeah. So like, I'm sure, like most countries, like small businesses are like the foundation of the economy.
Yeah.
But they really take that to heart. I think, and this is just my interpretation of being in Chicago, LA, and in New York. People like to say, "Oh, this is dope." They'll just give you a credit card and they'll just buy it. There's none of this like, gotta sell 10 million. You gotta do a 10 million spiel and do a demonstration. In the UK, depending who it is, people hum and ha like, "Oh, come back later." They gotta see the jewelry 3 times. Think about it. Have a pina colada. Might
Where
come
did you
back.
get your training and all?
I'm just like, do you like it or not?
Yeah.
You know, if you like a brand, like you know, and I just feel that the response, it was just different. So I feel like I've got to do like a Idris Elba or Estelle. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you know where they were more valued when
Exactly.
they went abroad? And I just it's just open your eyes. It's like, go where you're tolerated, right? Go where you go where you're wanted.
When you're appreciated.
And I think just like even thinking about like even American artists who do well in the UK and abroad more than the American market, like probably like Kelly Rowland. Like I'm sure the UK and Australia was bankrolling Kelly Rowland for years with especially with her like dance hits compared to like Khalees.
I think
and
in
all
the music,
in the music.
they do they test out artists in the UK and European countries first, and then bring them on to the US, even when they're US artists.
I have like, Tina Turner. This is R.I.P. I just think about artists like that where she's a legend, but she did so well in Europe compared to or this is before my time kind of like this is it Alexander O'Neill, like he did amazing in here in the UK. So the reason why I mentioned these music artists, because I can see why they're like breaking their back in like America or in different spaces where there's an audience who just love you anyway and embrace that. So that's what I'm looking at. So because the world is so big. The diaspora is so big.
And thanks to online, now you can put yourself out into the world. And I feel like, especially the younger generation in America, you're right, they do appreciate the small business or the little guy or the one person team, and that's why places like Etsy are becoming bigger, because people appreciate the farmer markets, the Etsy's, the small independence.
They do.
That's really nice. Are there any rituals or practices that help you get inspired, or when you're stuck, are there anything that help you get out of that?
What I used to get really upset about is doing everything in one go. So I'll be like, I've got this day, I've got this weekend, I'm going to do this. And then that puts stress on myself. And then it comes a mental block. So what I've learned is like, I can't remember the phrase, like, you bite the elephant in small chunks. I can't remember, but like you tackle little bit by little bit. So what I do now, I start something, like, I don't know, like, I say if I was doing a sketch or if I put in a piece of, especially with films, I do this when I make my moving images. I start a little bit, go back to it, leave it for a couple of hours or leave it for a day, go back to it. If I try to do everything in one day, my brain goes shh.
I feel like with creative stuff, you can't rush it. You can't time it. It has to be when you're inspired.
It's flow state. It has to come to you. But the thing is it's about consistency. So I can't be like, I don't want to, it's creative but consistency at the same time. You can't just be like, well, I'll just do it when I feel like it. I sound like content. I'll do something for one day and then leave it for 6 months. No, you gotta do it for whatever time, but make it consistent. Because what I've learned, like, if you do it for me consistently, a couple of hours, a half a day, and you keep that consistently for a few weeks, the ideas come quicker because you don't stop and start. That's the worst thing for me, stopping and starting, because you just lose time, you lose momentum. Getting that momentum, being that flow state, is very, very important.
Are there any challenges you encounter in the production phase that people that not aware of the jewelry process, and how do you get over that or overcome it?
Production. Not production.
Whether it's sourcing or even when you're creating different phases of the production process.
Not product. So, yes and no. So it's like when I was talking about bespoke or the personalization, when I used to do those services to people, it's about take. I'm a person. My method is design slow, make fast. So I rather spend most of the time making sure that the design that you're happy with design or I'm happy with the design, and for me, the devil is in the detail, and the success of a design coming to life is all in the prep. For me, I can't rush that stage. So people get frustrated, like, why am I over checking and asking the client, are you sure? You looked at 3D, I've made a model, I've made a maquette. Because once it goes into gold and platinum and diamonds, I can't be going back and forth, and it's a bit of a faff. It's just long. It's too expensive. We can't, doing stuff in like fine jewelry or high fine jewelry. It's expensive. So I'd rather work out everything what we need. Everyone's on board. No buyer's remorse. Live our lives. Spend weeks or months on that if needs to be, before I go to that. The difficulty is sometimes people don't know what they want. Or people will do like, they know what they want, but because it's could be an expensive purchase, or they're not confident, they ask their friend, or they ask their mom, or they ask and then it's like the design starts all over again.
Okay.
So it's just like when you design something, or you want something, think about what you want or the person wants.
Yeah.
And just keep to it and keep consistent, because if you get like this decision paralysis, like I want this, maybe I'm not sure. So that's the only thing I find a bit difficult. But it's like I see myself as a little like jewelry detective, asking lots of questions like, are you sure this is what you want? Asking. And sometimes like being little counsellors as well, because you're hearing. I think sometimes people and it's easy for me to say. Because I'm the jeweler and I'm making it. People put a lot of stress on a design. Remember what I said earlier about just take your time. It will come. If you rush it and try it, you're going to put stress on yourself. And sometimes people do that, especially sometimes men with the engagement ring. Like, it has to be perfect. It has to be the one. 9 out of 10, the woman will love anything what you get them. If you put thought into it.
Yeah, it's all in the thought.
It's all in the thought and the process. But I think that's the only thing. But I think, knock on wood, I haven't had no one complain about, oh, Kassandra, you made this engagement ring, I want it back, or knock on wood, because I've took the time to make sure in the design process, most things are covered. So no one can't go back like I didn't know, I don't like it or something. Yeah. I hope that helped.
Yeah. And even in business or entrepreneurship, that's a good strategy to have. The more you put into planning before you start your business, the less you have to worry about, and the smooth sailing. Yeah, having clarity. Yeah. Was there ever a time where you experimented and did something different, and it ended up creating a piece that you like?
Yeah, I'm not wearing it, so I usually wear it. So there's a CEO ring. I just thought I just liked it. I like CEO, the idea CEO, like I'm the CEO of my own life. And it's not even really on my website. I need to put it on my website. And every time I wear it in America, when I was over here, I get at least one email a week about this CEO ring. I'm not wearing it. I usually wear my middle finger. And the thing about this, it's just literally the letter CEO with a bit of detail on it. I believe I'm the CEO of my own life. I'm the author of my own life. So all the decisions has led me here today. And instead of like complaining or stuff like that, what am I doing to make sure that I'm in a better place, I'm in a better situation? How can I design and make sure my life is okay? So that's very powerful for me. That's like self-affirmation for me when I wear that ring. Like, Kassandra, like, fix up.
Yeah.
You're the CEO, you're like, fix up.
Yeah.
Don't care about what other people are doing. Fix up. Concentrate on you. Use your, control what you can control.
Yeah. I think everybody should work on being a CEO of their own life.
Yeah, man. You can't, life is too short, man. Put things in, like, perspective. Like, life is too short.
You talked about your moving, what do you got? Moving images and the films. Can you talk about that a little bit? And what that's
you
about?
know what? Just like the jewelry stuff came later. I've got 2 degrees I don't use. I always... It's a long story. I don't know how to. You're probably the first person who asked me about my film and how do I thought about it. How do I get into the about films? I had a fantasy. I always wanted to make films. I thought it was never possible because I didn't go to film school. I thought you have to go to film school. You got to be a big director, that kind of stuff. I don't think you have it in the US, but there's a brand of cinemas called Cineworld. It's just like it's like your ABC. I don't know what it's like a chain. It's like a chain of cinema. So when I first came to London, they had this kind of deal where you pay like £20 a month, like a subscription, and you can watch any films you want, how much you want, as long as you go to this chain.
Okay.
Right. So I used to go in my free time, watch like 3 films a day. After work or my weekends, I'll watch like if I can schedule it, because sometimes the chain will be like one's down that road, one's over road. I can like sync it. I can watch like 4 or 5 films a day. So I was always watching films, always love a good storytelling. Fast forward, I said, let me try. I think it was after COVID. I think COVID makes you think about life.
Yeah.
And I think, let me just try to make something. I have no experience. Let me try to make something. And I made a documentary, and it went to a few film festivals. So that's how it started. So I started doing documentary, but now I'm doing more moving images where it's not like it has to be a film, like a start, middle, and end. It's more experimental, more art. I see these things being like video installations, like I talked about my stuff going into the outer net at Tottenham Court Road, one of the biggest like visual installations. I see my stuff in art galleries, so I see it as using moving images, fine art, just like how I see doing my jewellery as fine jewellery, in those spaces where it can be taken as art, as not as commercial and not as just as random content.
Yeah.
Because I think there's differences of those. You're filming content, you're filming like a traditional short film, and moving image.
What would be the difference between
okay,
because I know you do content creation as well.
So I think it's the intention, right? So I guess we're filming content right now. We know what the format is, like a podcast. This is long form content. We consume it, you get all the good points, talking heads, and that's it. That's the format. But for a short film, usually short films, depending on the film festivals, under 20 minutes, probably 10 minutes. Usually there's a short story, start, middle, and end. Usually there's a character behind it. Yeah. It can be quite linear, the story. Like, we know what a short film is. If you see it, you kind of know the format. For moving image, the story's not as linear. It's not like it's more, I say, artsy, more art, like an art house film. I would say that kind of style where you can have a bit of dance in it. You think about the music more. You can have movement. The main thing when you see it as a piece. It's framed as a piece of art.
Gotcha.
No, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I know you recently released a book.
It's coming. The 19th of October, it's coming. So that's called Contours of Belonging. And that book, it's about looking at jewellery, about your identity and place. I feel like jewellery, as I said earlier, it's not just about having feelings, holding family secrets, an heirloom. It can enhance your relationship with a certain place. So I was experimenting with the ideas. I live in East London, a place called Ilford. So it's about probably 12 miles, probably 10 miles from here, probably east. I probably messed up how many miles, but and it's in East, and I didn't feel really connected to the place. I lived there for 3-4 years, and I was like, what's going on in this place? I just spend my time in central London where we are today. All I do is spend my time literally around here in central London. All I did is just slept there and just get out every day. Don't spend no time. And I was thinking, this is wrong. How can I be living in this area? I don't have no sense of community. I pay my tax. I pay my rent here. Why? And I was searching, like, why haven't I felt connected? Because usually where I've gone different places, I felt connected. I felt it was my home. But this place did not feel, the first time in my life, this place did not feel like home. It felt foreign to me. So what I did some jewelry projects. I made some jewelry. I interviewed people, and just to figure out like how jewelry can enhance your relationship with the space. And what I found out is about your investment. If you invest in something, talking to people, trying to make a community, and just following your interests, things will come. So what I've learned from doing jewelry in my own area, use my own interests, and make an investment in my community. I created my own community. I've met people who are my neighbours. I've seen things in my neighbourhood I never met before. I'm wearing a piece of jewelry, not this jewelry, but another piece of jewelry. Every time I wear it, it just makes me happy about the place. It makes me feel like I can live here longer. Because I was thinking of leaving this place, but I had to look at myself and the jewelry like, just like the CEO ring, I have to make my decisions. I have to make the investment in this in this area. A community ain't going to come to me. I have to take some stewardship. I got to take responsibility at how I deal with the community. And I feel as all citizens, if you live somewhere, you got to think about how you contribute to where you live, because you're impacting people's environments and people are impacting on you as well.
What advice would you give to aspiring jewelers or content creators getting into the space, and particularly for underrepresented groups like women and Black people getting into the space?
I didn't. This is gonna sound really basic, and I used to roll my eyes when I used to hear people say this. I'm like, you come on a podcast or you make me come to a talk, and you're saying basic stuff, and I didn't realize the basic stuff is what it. Just create and be consistent. And the confidence and the things will follow. Create and be consistent. I when I was younger, all I did was like a magpie. I'd be like, oh, this is shiny. Oh, there's a course. I'll just go on this course, and that will make me better than actually doing. So whatever you do, jewelry, content creation, just create and be consistent, because by doing you'll learn. There's no much courses, and unless you're a doctor or something, there's not enough courses. Like, I used to fill my head with theory. If I just do this course, if I just do this, if I just do that, and then that will just delay. It makes procrastination and actually doing it.
Even for doctors, like you still have to get into the operating room and practice and things like that, or else the books are not going to teach you everything.
The books can look nice, but they ain't going to do nothing for you. You have to do it. So I hope that helps. I know it sounds cliche, but
I mean, that advice can't be given enough, to be honest. Even for me, public speaking is not my forte. I'm used to being behind a computer somewhere hiding. And so, in doing this podcast and vlogging and different things like that, I'm seeing my level of confidence improving, my speech is improving. So I do believe in consistency. So much so, I have a brand called Consistent Self-Improvement. So definitely go online and get that shameless plug. But yeah, thank you, Kassandra. It's been an amazing conversation. Glad to have you here. And for the listeners, I'll have all her information in the description. Thank you for listening. Peace.